So let's start with worst TV show. This one I think we can go a little quickly on because I think it's kind of a no-brainer for us. Our choices were Dope Sick, Sweet Tooth, Foundation, Marvel's What If, and Wheel of Time. I think everything on this list we've either talked about directly or, Jen, I don't think we've talked about Dope Sick, and we haven't talked a ton about Foundation. Foundation is just way off the rails in terms of what Asimov would have written. What If pretty much was useless from the very beginning. But the hands-down winner, Wheel of Time.
Yeah, it's running away.
It's not
it's continuing.
good.
I mean...
It's not good.
We're not even done with the season at the time of this recording.
Yep.
And we've talked about it before on the podcast.
Yep.
It's bad. It's bad.
Yep, Wheel of Time. But on the good end, best. Best. So we debated a little bit on best TV show, whether or not to include new seasons or just new shows. We're allowing seasons of series. So we have a few shows. We get Squid Game, which obviously the breakout hit of the year. Invincible, Amazon Prime animated series. Ted Lasso season 2, Mythic Quest season 2, and this is going to come as a surprise to a lot of people. We haven't talked about it on the podcast at all. I recommended Hawkeye, and I stand by that recommendation. Hawkeye is one that I wanted to include on this list because unlike most of the current Marvel stuff, as we just talked about, I feel like it's doing a lot right. It's doing a lot great with Hawkeye's character. Jeremy Renner continues like essentially the same kind of character that he's had for years, which I actually think is highly underrated in the MCU because he is kind of the heart of the team in a lot of ways. He's the only family man, really. And also, he kind of doesn't want to be there, which is fun. Like, it's sort of a fun thing. He does not see himself as a superhero. And in fact, in the series, he talks a lot about not really even wanting to be seen as a role model. He's just a guy who got hired. In fact, he talks about this. The series comes largely from a comic run called My Life as a Weapon. He says something in the series in one of the most recent episodes where he says, I'm a weapon, and I'm not a hero, I'm not somebody to look up to, I'm just a weapon who happens to have been pointed at the right people from time to time. And I think that's an interesting way to think about the character, and it's expanded on him while introducing Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld, in a way that I have not hated. It's hard. I think the MCU has, one of the Disney's problems lately is introducing new characters as sort of replacements for existing characters, and they have almost to a person been worse, less likable, less interesting, weird carbon copies of things that already existed in a better form. And this is the first time that I've seen so far where Haley Steinfeld is enjoyable to watch and not a horrible person replacing a good person, which has sort of been the case with a lot of these. So I wanted to include that. Ted Lasso season 2, strong candidate. Paul, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Ted Lasso continues. It doesn't hit the highs of season 1, but the season 2, it's funny, and there's some episodes in there that are just some all-time classic TV episodes, like the Christmas episode. I think is one that's just a great standout. But a lot of Apple TV, and I guess it's just 2 shows. But
these 2 shows in particular.
Apple TV nailed it with these 2 shows, and we'll see what they can continue doing. But yeah, we can keep going.
So Jen, you made a strong case for Invincible.
Yes, I did. Invincible, it was also a surprising show to me because it was not at all what I expected it to be. And this is one of those shows that, like, we talked about it on the podcast before it had completed its release run. So we were like mid-season when we talked about it on the podcast. And I kept watching it. And I kept watching it, even after I didn't have to. And when you consider the kind of time crunch that I have on my free time, which is very limited to begin with, for me to choose to keep watching a show that I don't technically have to watch is a really high mark, because that means I am actively making time for that thing, which is rare these days. It's rare. And it had a remarkable amount of heart as well. It was shockingly violent in places, and it's not like a happy feel good show.
No,
except for when it is, and
it had a hero.
I think that
Yeah.
and it had a hero. It had a legitimate hero. And I think the dichotomy there is what really sets it apart for me.
Yeah.
Great show.
Our winner is not any of those, however. It is Mythic Quest Season 2, which Paul and I had to argue for.
Yeah.
But Mythic Quest Season 2 is better than Season 1.
Mm-hmm.
It has the backstory episode that we've already talked about with F. Murray Abraham and Josh Brenner. It has, for me, and the reason that it's my vote for winner of best TV this year, is that it actually took on a challenging subject, which is cancel culture and sort of woke culture and all that kind of stuff, in a way that was not only funny, but which was not like this just reactionary kind of nonsense that you get in a lot of places. It poked fun at characters that needed to be poked fun at, while giving them a way to redeem themselves. And so the Rachel character in particular on that show, for the first time maybe that I've ever seen in the last 5 or 6 years on any kind of TV show, we have like the emblematic woke LGBT whatever kind of character that will actually get better. And I'm looking forward to Rachel not just complaining for the next season, but actually building something. And that's something that I think could only happen if they had episodes that were willing to call out her as a character and all that kind of stuff. I think it was bold. I think it was something that actually takes some level of courage on TV right now. And I'm surprised Apple did it.
Yeah.
Frankly, I'm not surprised Rob McElhenney did it. But for me, that was why it was mine.
No, I mean, I agree 100% with you, but and also just having a cast of characters and each one you care about.
They're all great.
In a different way. And
Including Rachel, by the way.
She was, I mean, it's just, but all of these characters feel, I mean, obviously a lot of it is over the top, just because it's television, but
you feel like real people.
You feel like you could, if you went to a game studio, you would see these people running around and having these hijinks. But it's a great show, and if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, absolutely,
it's fantastic.